Hey guys, so this video isn't going to be the most positive, happy one because I want to talk about the animal abuse that still goes on today. So, as you are probably aware, there are tons and tons of pet care videos and information online, lots of animal activists and a lot of people who care so much about this world, its environment and all its living creatures. However, there remains people who don't care or who have the wrong information and they don't know it's wrong and therefore they don't go seeking out new correct information, or maybe they do, maybe people have told them that the information is wrong yet they don't care because they are stubborn individuals, or just so many horrible things and stories and people and places that still exist. So I have a couple stories that I want to share to kind of remind you why there are so many people out there pushing proper pet care and pushing saving the environment or whatnot. I mean, this is mostly going to be pet stories, but yeah, we're not preaching all this for nothing. And if you're one of those people who does know proper pet care and does know right from wrong, it's not like we're, and I say we're as in everyone on the internet giving the proper advice. It's not like we're attacking you and telling you and repeating to you only all this care and information. We're trying to reach all these other people who don't even know that there's new updated information out there. That's who we're trying to reach. So without further ado, the first story I want to tell is something that I found on Facebook at the beginning of June. So the Animal Anti-Cruelty League, here where I live, so they have their post here, which I'm just going to read to you. It says, "The Animal Anti-Cruelty League would like to thank Plastics Depot Green Acres for their immediate reaction in removing the cat scratch resistant boots." When I read cat scratch resistant boots, it's like, what? "Removing these cat scratch resistant boots, which have been deemed highly cruel for cats." And then they say BWC, I'm not sure what that is, "has been instrumental in getting these banned. They reacted straight away and have removed these from their shelves and from their inventory. Thank you to all involved." So I commented, what are these boots? And someone told me that it were these boots that turns onto the cat's paw with a thumbnail screw. So there's some shop out here in the town that I live that's making these little plastic caps, probably. It's got a little thumbnail thing that you push into the cat's foot, so it's scratch resistant, because then they can't scratch you because they've got these things nailed into their feet. How is this even sold on a shelf this day and age? How? Things like this still go on in the world. Don't think that because it's a cat, humans have had cats for centuries and humans know exactly what we're doing in the proper pet care for cats. No, still stuff like this is still going on and it's absolutely madness. Pushing that story quickly aside, I've got 3 stories that I wanted to share, and they're all about birds. So, I don't know, picking a story first, I'm just going to pick the one that I saw today. It was a story of a cockatoo that was locked in its cage, for years. I don't remember exactly what the post said. I think it was for a decade. This cockatoo has been locked in the cage, and it was locked, a solid lock bolted this cage closed. The bird never came out. It obviously had one of those little side things where you can just take the food in and out. And then it says that the person just cleaned the tray. You just take the removable tray, put probably newspaper in, put it like that. The bird didn't have any toys or anything. Just this whole life locked away like that. And it's absolutely mind-blowing. And then the post was saying how the bird was now rescued and they actually had to take bolt cutters to cut this lock off because the bird had been in there locked away for so many years that the key was just missing. You know, I don't think that owner was ever intending on ever unlocking that poor bird. A similar story to that is a story of a parrot that I have met and I know, and yeah, it was a macaw, and he was kept in a cage that was so small that he couldn't stretch out his wings and that his tail feather could not grow to its full length. And I think it was also something like a decade that it was in this cage. And that macaw now actually doesn't live in a cage, and he has his own like stand, and he never leaves the stand because he's you know, rightfully fearful of people. He does have a bit of trust now with his owners, but you know, he doesn't leave that stand, you know, without them taking him somewhere. And it's just a horrible story. He's a horrible plucker, and that is obviously something that will remain, you know, happening throughout his life. I don't think he plucks anymore, but his feathers they definitely haven't come back, and that is something that does happen with birds who do pluck. You know, sometimes they pluck so much that the actual follicles that produce the feathers, it's like they stop working and they stop producing feathers. So that's essentially what's happened to him, and it's so sad to think that someone, you know, like that bird that was locked up in a cage, I don't know what size cage that bird was in, but you know, I'd like to think at least that bird maybe had space. This is a story where the bird did not even have space. You know, it could not open his wings. You know, could not even grow tail feathers properly because it was so small. And things like this continue. The next bird story is a story that I heard last year, and I didn't say anything at the time when the person was telling me the story, but it's bothered me so much, and I think about this story so often. Oh, that actually reminds me of another story. Anyway, so this story that I heard, it was a guy who's at varsity with me, and he was telling the story how his family had an Indian ringneck, and they got it as a baby, and it was so cute, and it liked to nibble their fingers, and they called it nibbles. And then as it grew up, those nibbles turned into bites. And obviously now they've got a parrot who loves biting. So as he said it, they one day accidentally left the cage open and left the door accidentally open, and the bird flew away. So, you know, essentially sending that bird off to its death because, you know, there's no food year round for parrots, and what does that bird know about living in the wild with the weather? One day it's hot, one day it's raining. Where is it gonna, you know to find shelter and know where to get food? And we have birds of prey here who might go after it, and then there's cats and dogs. You know, it's a horrible story, and I can't believe that I just sat there. I was in shock at this person telling me a story about how they had taught the bird to bite them, and then the consequence of that was them essentially killing the bird. Absolutely mental. When your bird is a baby and all the nibbles are very cute and that, like if you reinforce it at the time that these nibbles are cute and funny and you're laughing and it's just continuing to nibble and you don't stop them and you don't spend time training them and reinforcing other behaviors, but you're reinforcing this behavior, the bird is going to think that that is okay. So they did teach the bird to bite them, and they reinforced that, and then they, you know, think in their minds that that bird that they had turned and grew to be evil, and then they let it out. The story bothers me so much, you know. It's insane. You know, people will get a bird and they won't learn a thing about bird behavior and learn a thing about bird training, and it's just insane. Like, admittedly, okay, when I first got Tango, I was 12. Did I do as much research as I should have? No. Okay, I didn't. And I went through Tango's, toddler phase and the biting and that. Like, never would I ever have reinforced biting and nibbles. I never would have. Like, I was 12. Did I know anything about like positive and negative reinforcement and that, the different strategies and all that? No, I didn't. I wasn't perfect then. I'm still not perfect. But if a bird was biting me, especially a parrot, it's not gonna not hurt just because they're a baby. When they're a baby, their beaks are still strong and get stronger over time as they grow. But yeah, that story bothers me so much. So, but now, even as that story goes on, like, say now if I was them, I had now, gone and encouraged this bird to go and bite. As an adult, say it was now, where this bird is biting me and that, now is the time where I am learning the most about training birds and different types of reinforcement. Now is the time where I would have to fix my mistakes, and I'd have to live with it if that's what I had done. And I would have to learn about target training and all sorts of things to, retrain the bird out of biting and onto doing other positive things. But unfortunately, I know that obviously what happened to them, and is not only limited to them, it's obviously the same with other people, is that they don't know about this bird training stuff, and they've just got this bird that always bites, and then they lose interest in the bird, and they don't even care to invest more into the bird, and they just decide, it's biting us, that's it, it's done, and then release it. And if you do have to, like, I don't know, if you can't keep a pet anymore, the last thing you want to do is release them into the wild. Either it's an instant death practically, or say they do survive, then suddenly you have invasive species destroying natural ecosystems. It's a lose-lose situation either way. Don't do it. There are lots and lots of rescue centers who you can surrender your animal to. Yeah, don't release your pet into the wild. The next story, it's not really an animal abuse story. It's more like an animal horror story, but I thought of it earlier and I thought I'd just tell you about it now while I'm telling animal stories. So this one isn't about the neglect of the owner particularly, but it's still a horror story that I was thinking about a lot because it's definitely a scary story. So this one is a lady who had her her African grey in his cage on her front porch. So she obviously put it out there, get some nice sunshine, and it can look at the world. She wasn't doing a bad job or being a neglectful parrot owner. And then what happened was two guys walked past her house, and then they take a look, and then they double back and grabbed the parrot cage and ran. And this bird was stolen, right from her front doorstep. And it's something that's really scary, to have your bird stolen right from your house. So, yeah, that's a scary story. And obviously, this person's probably never going to see their bird again. I mean, I really hope that they find those people who stole her bird. But I can't imagine that being a very simple task, especially since it's most likely stolen with the intent of selling and making money, because that is unfortunately the situation of poverty in South Africa. Anyway, so those are my stories. I'm sorry if they made you feel really sad or anything, but I just want to tell you stories of stuff that is still happening. It's even nowadays where more people are doing proper pet care, these horrible stories are still going on. I would also like to encourage you to support your animal anti-cruelty leagues and support your shelters who are taking in animals who come from bad homes. I want you to go out and support these people trying to do a good thing, because you might be doing the right thing and taking better care for your pets, but it would be so nice if you could go and help and support those people who are trying to, get other animals and give them a better life. There are many ways of supporting your shelters and your rescues and people who go out there and like the animal anti-cruelty leagues and such things. So when I say support these places, it doesn't always just have to be you giving money and you never see any of that ever again. It can be in certain ways. For example, when I did my Nom Noms store review, I mentioned that on their website you could buy treats for your animal and then a portion of that sale goes to rabbit rescues. Or another thing is just supporting the right businesses who do go out and support animal rescues and whatnot. There is Mad About Hedgies, which I just did a product review on, and I'm super happy about that. Danielle, the manager, owner of that business, she donates fleece products that she makes to a critter rescue here in South Africa. And also, if you place an order with Mad About Hedgies and then use a code, which I'll put on screen, you can donate a portion of that sales price to that same critter rescue. You need to go out and find people who support rescues, and then also, like I said, sometimes you can buy something for yourself and then also a portion of that money goes to be donated. Or you can take part in charity walks. I've done a video on my channel where I was doing a walk in which the entrance fee raised money for the local animal shelter. Just, be a good person in society, do good things, support the right people, support the right places. Yeah, that's my message for today, kids. Thank you for coming to today's TED Talk. I know it wasn't great, but yeah, that's the story for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.